everyone, my name is Amanda and I'm the Fun Size Reader, and welcome to the second day of Bookmas. Today I want to talk about books that I read this year that I would like to see on a screen. Whether that's a movie screen or a TV screen, I don't really care. Well, I do care about some of them, actually. Can't say I don't care, because I do care. I think that decision is a big one, and it matters. I picked a couple of romances and a couple fantasy romances that I want to see on the big screen, and I want to tell you which ones. First, I'm going to start with a Christmas romance. And I picked this because as I was reading it, I felt like I was very vividly seeing the scenes in New York and the screaming fans and the on-screen documentation and the documentary style. And I just thought it would make a really good Christmas movie. And I know I said in the review that it's not a super overly Christmas book, but I do feel like on screen that might come across a little bit more. So with that being said, I think Wreck the Halls would actually make a really, really great Christmas romance. And I'm not talking, obviously, a Hallmark romance because those are nice and clean. And Tessa Bailey is not clean, but a actual romance Christmas movie with that plot and set. I just think it would be so good. I think watching Beat and Melody go around New York and be filmed and seeing like the fans come after them and having the big concert at the end. Like I feel like that would be so fun to watch on the big screen, especially with seeing all of the Christmas elements and not necessarily feeling them while you read it. I think it would give it that extra oomph. So I'd really love to see Wreck the Halls by Tessa Bailey. I know we've talked about this before, but I do feel like we are missing rom-coms on screen. Like we got The Hating Game. I know there are a few that are like in the works on some of the books by some authors that I love. I don't know if they've really been talked about a lot yet. I can't remember. I'm not going to say anything and spoil things that I know. I really miss like the early 2000s rom-coms. I want them back. The problem is I didn't really feel like I read a lot of rom-coms this year. A lot of the romances that I read were not comedies. I was not like laughing at lots of things. A lot of them had really serious elements. Maybe just more of like love story movies at this point, even though I'm really craving rom-coms. But the other two contemporary romances that I had picked, I do think would do really well as a movie. The first one is Happy Place by Emily Henry. And the reason I think that this would do better on screen or do really well on screen is because it has that drama friend relationship element. It's not just the love story. There's more going on in the plot, lots of tears and like moving on with life and life lessons and building lasting relationships. And there's kind of that back and forth timeline also. So I do think that that would be a really good movie. I think it could be done super well. I feel like the characters kind of really were all so different and unique that casting on that would be really cool. I think they could do a great job with that. But I think this one would translate really well just as a great romance, a great drama, one that lots of people could relate to, not necessarily a rom-com. And the last of the rom-com romances is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. I love Abby's books just to begin with, but Abby writes her own humor, which I think is hilarious. If you watch her videos that she puts out all the time, like she's just a funny person. She writes her own humor into the characters and into the situations. Now, this book and Part of Your World, which were kind of a duet together, they were a little bit more on her serious side, even though she had a lot of her humor elements woven into the way she writes. But I do think that this one would also be good on screen. I could see the like Grey's Anatomy-esque like hospital situations and kind of the way they were writing the letters back and forth, the surprise tropes at the end. I think there are lots of elements that would make this look really good on screen and would be really popular on screen. I also think that the first one in the duet would do really well on screen. But again, that one is more of like a drama, and I read that last year. So like, I'm just kind of mentioning it here. But I do think that those would be really great. All right. So now what about fantasy? I picked 3. Now, we know I didn't read a ton of fantasy this year. I read a good amount. I didn't read tons and tons and tons. There were 3 that I think I really could see being on screen. And when I say on screen for these, I believe that they should be movies and not TV. I think that they should be movies, and I will explain why for each of them. The first one is Divine Rivals. And I know that might seem like for me, it came out of left field. I just feel like this could be done so well on screen because it has that like historical fiction element. And there's so many good historical fiction dramas on screen with the costuming and the time, the setting, and just like the haze that they put on the filming to make it look like it's back in time. It just, I think, could come across the screen so well. And then there's like the magical realism aspect and the war scenes that I just feel like could be so dynamic. There's one scene in my head that I could see. I mean, I could see the letters from the typewriters like sliding under the doors and cinematically watching her like dip down and pick it up. And I just think it would look so cool. But the one that I can't get out of my head is the scene where they're in the trenches and he is very protective over her. I just feel like that could be such a huge scene in a movie and it would look so good. And I know there's another book coming, so it could be more than one movie, whatever. I think it would be great. This next one shouldn't be a surprise. I said it was going to be probably one of my top books of the year. And part of the reason is because I do think it would be really, really good as a movie or as a set of movies. I'm talking specifically about the first book because that's the one I liked, and that is Serpent and the Wings of Night. I do think that this Hunger Games-esque style storyline could be so vivid on screen. I do think that the first book possibly could be split up into multiple movies because it's so long. So many things happen. I feel less that the second book would look as good on screen as the first. I think the first would kill it. Like it would look so good with just like the house and the vampires and all of the tasks that they have to go through. It just screams Hunger Games to me. I think it would look great. I really wish that we would get that in a movie. The last one, again, no surprise here. We all knew I was going to pick Fourth Wing, but I will say I am disappointed. I am disappointed that it has already been picked up to be adapted for the screen because it's a TV show and I don't think it should be a TV show. I just don't. I think that it should be movies. I don't know. I feel like when you are looking at fantasy, dystopian, things that have been super popular, it's been the movies, unless you're Game of Thrones. Like Game of Thrones is its own thing and everybody hated the last season. Now House of the Dragon is great. I love it, but we don't know what it's going to be like in the future. And I just don't want to see Fourth Wing ruined if it's being adapted to TV and episodes and things get changed versus a movie. I just feel like a movie would be so much better for it. I don't know if it's like a budget thing or if it's a script thing or I don't know. I just want it to be a movie. And so we do know that it has been picked up by Prime Video. It is going to be on Amazon Prime. And I just hope they do it justice. I hope they do. The other risk that you run with the TV shows, and this is one thing that frustrates me about things getting adapted to TV shows, is what just happened with Shadow and Bone. Shadow and Bone was picked up, the show was fantastic, and now all of a sudden, after season 2, it's been completely dropped and it's not going to be finished. And I hate running the risk of that happening, whereas at least with movie franchises, the movies get made. They do the adjustments that they need to finish the movie series. I can't think of, off the top of my head, any single movie series that was not finished. I can't think of any that was adapted from a book. I just really want the super high budget for those dragons to look amazing. I want the super high budget for Basgiath to look amazing. Like, the CGI better be off the freaking charts. I think it deserves that. And I really worry about the shows not doing it justice. Well, that is what I want to see on screen from what I read this year. I know I read quite a few books, and I know this list was not very long, but these were the ones that I was really compelled to say I would love to see this on screen. Do I think there are others? Probably. Do I think I'm as drawn to them being on the screen as the ones I said? Maybe not. I think a lot of books can do really, really well as books. And then there are some that just, have to be adapted for the screen. And so these are ones that I definitely think should. Well, if there's anybody out there listening to this video that wants to make any of these things happen, just let me know, because that would be really fun to watch and see. Thanks for coming to Bookmas Day 2. Don't forget to stay tuned for Day 3, which will be posted in 2 days. If you like reading romance and fantasy books, make sure to click like and subscribe so you will be notified anytime I post videos. I post reviews weekly on my channel for romance and fantasy, so keep an eye out. Thanks for chatting with me today about books that I want to see made into movies or TV shows, and I'll see you guys next time.